Whew, whew, whew. My God, you know what? We won. We'll start with that. But what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the post-game show. You know, we got the G Leaguers in today, or at least Ariel and myself, and we also have Simba of Sports. Simba, no jinx today. I would like to thank you very much for not absolutely ruining our chances at winning this game. I think you said on Twitter that you bet on the Heat before this game. Is that true?
Yeah.
That man, he's got the guts.
Because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone. I smoke my stogie anywhere I want.
Simba, honestly, props to you. But you know what? We won this game. We're gonna break down this entire game and see what happened, what we should take away from this game. Simba, but you did get this bet right, so I do want to start with you because we railed on you. We absolutely destroyed you for this last game, but we won this game. We'll get into how much it means and whatnot. But Simba, break it down. What did you see today?
Before I break it down, thank you to our sponsor, Tropical Bay IPA, Biscayne Bay Brewing. Make sure that you support our sponsor, Biscayne Bay Brewing. If you don't know where to find Biscayne Bay Brewing, go onto their website. They have a little link where you can actually find all the places that they sell their beer. You can put your zip code, and they'll tell you everywhere you can buy it. They got a bunch of good beers. They're the official sponsors of our post games, and you help supporting us if you help support them. So what I saw tonight, I saw some pretty good defense, right? Like there's some spotty stuff, but I think the biggest thing that I saw tonight out of everything, even before defense, was Nunn. Nunn had a great game. He was playable, right? Like this is a trade chip now, right? Like if he plays like this, like there's a lot that we can ask for. I saw a team, like I said, in the first half, Bam Adebayo, he was aggressive. He got his. And in the second half, Jimmy Butler took control. Now, did he score a million points? No, he didn't. But when we were stagnant and when things weren't going right, Butler went straight to the rim and took any foul he could get. And sometimes that turned into an offensive foul, but we've been saying it. We need somebody to be the alpha every once in a while. And that was Butler doing his best, trying to be the alpha. So I think the three things are Nunn was good from start to finish. Bam took over the first half, and Butler definitely took over the second half.
Yeah, no, Bam was good in the first half. That kind of faded a little bit down the stretch, but he made some defensive plays. I mean, that he just glassed the shit out of LeBron on that one play, just screaming, "Give me that shit!" When Bam does that, I love it. Obviously, like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, and those are pretty much the three positives. Outside of that, it was really ugly. This was. I know we beat the Los Angeles Lakers. We beat a LeBron-led team, so that is impressive in its own right. It's not easy to do that. I don't want to kind of step over that, but damn, this game felt like we should have won it by 15 or more, right? The Lakers did not play good. We also did not play great, but I mean, when you look at the players that were on the floor, Gabe Vincent, Keller, just pretty much the four white guys on this team, and Gabe Vincent,
we lost Hero for the whole second half.
They just did not do anything today. So where's my – oh, my gosh. There we go. So, yeah, Ariel, what did you see today from the complimentary guys, not Jimmy, Bam, and Nunn? What did you see from these other guys on the team?
I saw that Max Strus probably invested in some real estate in California because he was building whole neighborhoods with those bricks, man. That was rough to watch.
Trash.
That was really brutal. Kelly Olynyk also was really didn't have a very good game. He had 4 points, 1 of 5 from the field, just little to no impact on the game whatsoever, continuing his spy performance and the whole narrative that I have about him that I think he's a spy. Duncan Robinson, did you guys realize that Duncan Robinson had 10 rebounds? Did anybody pick up on that? Because just checked.
When he gets those rebounds is what I want to say. It's the same thing as Hero. He's not the one boxing out for them. So a lot of those rebounds give credit to Nunn, because if you watch Nunn today, bro, the box outs were impeccable. He got called in a BS foul late in the game, boxing out. I think it was Wes Matthews or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Nunn he was putting in work on both ends of the floor. Credit to Nunn. This man showed up on prime time. Last year he did none of that. And today he played well. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in any of these other games, but today he played well.
Nunn looks like he took a lot of the defensive criticism well, right? This year, he's finally there. he's never going to be – it doesn't look like he's ever going to be, you know, like the best defensive player on the team or anything like that. But he has the effort going towards the right direction, you know, to Gab's point, right? Like he was finally boxing out. And he's not just boxing out Alex Caruso. He boxed out, you know, Wesley Matthews a couple times. And Wesley Matthews is a physical guy.
Yeah.
He's giving Jimmy hell the entire game. Like, he had Jimmy in shackles for a lot. I mean, he had 24, but Jimmy went 8 of 20, and all he takes is layups and mid-range. So it's kind of interesting to see him be held under 50%. But, I mean, the Lakers have – Wes Matthews has his number. Like, Wes Matthews just knows how to play Jimmy. But it was good to see them ultimately win in an ugly game like this, because I understand we should have won this game by more, but at the same time, these are the games that we've been losing. So just to be able to at least notch it in the win column is a good thing, but this is not we still need to continue to grow. Like, this team still needs to get better. I'm not saying, at least I'll let you guys comment on this. I think this team still needs the same amount of trades, like 2 or 3 trades to get them to where they need to be if they are going to get to that point this year. I still think they're probably like a second round exit at this point as currently constructed, if not first round exit, because we don't know exactly how they're going to do. So what do you guys think is, after these last 2 games that we've won, what do you think is the biggest need? Ariel, I'll start with you. What is the biggest need that we need to target in the trade market right now?
I still think it's a 4 that you can play and trust next to Bam. I would look at a guy like, I mean, we've been beating this horse to death, but I would absolutely look at a guy like Thaddeus Young. I think he gives you a lot of what you want next to Bam. And if Bam's on the bench, Thaddeus Young can give you a lot of what Bam gives you with some of the playmaking. You can run a lot of the same actions through Thaddeus Young that you can run through Bam, maybe to a little bit of a lesser extent with slightly less effectiveness, but you don't have to change the offense all that much. They could use a playmaker as well and some defense on the perimeter. But if I had to rank them, I would go stretch 4, who can hopefully guard a little bit next to Bam, defensive upgrade on the perimeter at guard, and then playmaker as like the third in those 3 needs for the Heat.
Someone who Daniel Guerra, I think hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I like your comment. It's not pointed out right now, but we need another closer. And it doesn't have to be like someone who's going to close every single game for us, but you look at what we're doing at the end of quarters. This is something that I wanted to touch on today. What we're doing at the end of quarters is not pretty. Like, if we have the ball with 24 seconds left, it is so ugly. We need someone who can either get shots for somebody else or somebody that can just go up and get their own shot, because Nunn was on today. But it's not going to happen like this every single game. The problem with Nunn is you can't rely on him, but if it happens, fantastic. Like, he really showed up today, so give him his props. But I think it's bigger than we need a 4. I think it's bigger than we need a single playmaker. We need someone who can get a bucket. I understand.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I feel like we need that 3-level score. Somebody who can literally score on their own. And what I mean by that is you don't need a screen to set up a play, right? Like, how many times do you see Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard,
Yeah, but those guys don't grow on trees at the same time.
They don't grow on trees. They don't. But those are like the top of the top of 3-way scores. What I'm saying is we need somebody who can get their own without having to rely on others all the time, right? Like Duncan Robinson, he's a great scorer, but he can't create his own shot.
He's a great shooter.
Okay.
I mean, let's talk about Duncan,
right? Like, he's a better offensive player than he's defense, but he can't, can he create his own shot all the time? Not always. So I feel like we really need somebody who can create their own shot. So I look to somebody like John Collins who can fit the 4 and he can create his own shot. He can hit the 3, he can hit the mid, and he can hit at the rim.
Well, Collins is still, he plays with Trae Young, so he's still getting a lot of his points assisted too. But I would like to see John Collins with Bam, because I think 23-year-old power forward who's very athletic could fit alongside Bam and Jimmy very well, where they're good at getting people shots, but he's also good at making himself available. So Alex Ditson saying you need to pay Collins. That's the problem. So we'll get it. I'll let the superiors that know a little bit more get into Collins later on in the week. But I do want to talk more about this game. We won, but it didn't feel all that great.
I feel great.
I feel great, guy. I think you're the only one that doesn't feel great.
That's their best win of the season.
Yeah, I agree too. You keep saying we should have won by 1. you keep saying we should
Don't
have
get
won
me
by
wrong.
15, but if you look at it, right, like look who they had on their team. Alex Caruso, right? He would probably be a starter on this team. Harkless, he would probably be a starter on this team. Matthews, he would be a starter on this team. LeBron James, he might be a starter on this team. Oh no,
maybe.
But like if you do it the other way,
an idiot sandwich.
Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, no.
but if you look at it the other way around, like a lot of our players not. I think the only two players on our team that would be starters on the Lakers are Butler and Bam.
Alejandro, this
Yeah,
is
because
positivity
those are
night.
all-stars.
Those guys got the night off. This is positivity night.
Well, we're being positive, but at the same time, like I do want to address still things that we need to improve because, like, just watching this team, like, yes, we beat a LeBron-led team, but they still did not have Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder. And if those two guys are the definition of what gives us problems, like those two guys, they're hoopers, they're good basketball players. So
He would start on this team. Caruso.
No,
would
he
start on
would.
this
I
team.
don't think so, bro.
I don't think so.
You don't think he would start over Nunn?
Yes, ma'am. You're an idiot.
I think Caruso would start over Nunn.
You love Caruso, and
I don't love Caruso. I just think he would start over Nunn.
really, I mean,
Yeah.
I respectfully, I disagree.
No, that's fine.
But
I think definitely the way Kendrick Nunn is playing right now, like his
Right
stock is
now,
up,
yeah,
and I think
but-
there's no way Caruso starting over him right now, and probably not at any
hey,
point.
Marco,
What's up, Marco?
Marco is back.
What to do?
Still
Hey, Marco.
Twitterless, I believe.
Marco,
since-
I'm in Texas, so you know we just got our power back and all that shit.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome back. I'm glad to see you are okay. But to get your opinions on this game, we're kind of just going into like how we feel about it. So, what are your thoughts on this game? Good things, bad things, just everything in between. Give me your whole spiel.
The good is they finally beat a good team that was without a good player. They have been struggling with teams with depleted rosters. With the Lakers, though, it's good that they won even without AD and Schroeder out there because the team hasn't given you much of a reason to trust them, even with like the Clippers games and whatever teams don't have their guys. So it was good to see them like take care of business to a certain extent. It was still ugly. This is kind of the way they've been winning this year, to be honest. They keep the team under 100. They limit the turnovers. That was a big thing. I'm pretty sure they didn't have a lot of turnovers from what I saw, like from the eye test at least. And the shots, it's understandable coming from a road trip. They pretty much can't hit anything because this is like the second to last game before the end of the road trip. So I still love the way they defended the point of attack. They didn't let anybody really in the paint as much. LeBron, I think, was the only guy really to do much damage inside. And Kyle Kuzma his work was mostly from the outside. But you live with Kyle Kuzma going off every day. So I love seeing that. You still see the glaring holes from the team. You don't want to get tricked into, this could, they might turn around.
Right.
The holes are still there. But you're gonna take this win all day and be happy about it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I feel, honestly. Like I'm content the fact that we won. I just know like this is a building block once again. Like being able to win a game like this is something that you can build off of, but it's not the end game. Like that you need to continue to get better. And we've been hearing like around Sunday or Mondays when you're after this road trip, either before this OKC game or after this road trip is when you should expect a trade. So I don't have any sources or anything, but if they are going to act on it, I think it will probably act relatively quickly after this road trip because it's kind of hard to make this trade when you have, or any sort of trade when you have
in a COVID year.
Yeah, like everybody is either playing bad or just like you're just trying to get by on this road trip. But 4-3 is still possible on this road trip, I believe. Mm-hmm. Right? We beat the Kings 3-3 so far on this road trip. So that Thunder game could actually end up meaning a lot for this team. But I do want to talk about Duncan because a lot of people in the comments, as everyone pretty much saw, even the ESPN announcers who seemingly can't pick up on anything.
Goodness.
When Duncan
except the shirt change.
Yeah, right. Like, that's the only thing they knew. Oh my God, he's changed it 3 times.
Like Duncan, every time, and this has been happening for games now. Every time they target him in a pick and roll, or you just make Duncan rotate, it's like he's just running circles on defense. So, like, do you guys think the problems with Duncan are fixable defensively, or if it's just something that, like, realistically his value or his price has just gone down a lot, and maybe even his trade value has gone down a lot? So, with Duncan, like, do you think these issues are fixable? Because I know the shooting will go on and off. Like he'll get back to being a great shooter. That's just I think what do you think he'll do. But do you think the problems with Duncan are fixable? Simba, I'll start with you.
Offensively, yeah. Defensively, no. I think that this is it for Duncan. Like this, he's not athletic, man. Have you seen when he was running? He runs like this. He does that often. Like he's like falling while running, trying to catch. He's not the most athletic guy on the game. He'll never be that guy. He's gonna fall. He's gonna bite the pump fake all the time. So he looks like a guy he looks like a kid playing with NBA players sometimes, right? Like he's just gonna bite on everything, and it's not on. When he shoots, he doesn't. But on defense, I don't think it's fixable anymore. I really don't. They're going to pick on him. Every team is going to pick on Duncan over and over and over and over until he's not on the court.
But I think with Dunk, I actually wrote about this, about his defense getting better. It's now actually declined because he's fouling way more than he did at the beginning of the year. He wasn't fouling at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, oh, well, he's improved there. But now he's out of rotations. I don't know if that much has to do with their new blitzing kind of scheme they have, where it's going to be harder for a guy who's not as athletic to scramble. You know, the scramble drills that like Bam's so good at, and Iggy, even at his age, is still really good at. Maybe it's the change of philosophy, but there's a baseline that Duncan has to get to. That's just be average, and even if he gets there, that's still not a guy that really takes you to another level. And is it a guy you're willing to pay more than, let's say, like $15 million a year? Like, that's going to be the question that Miami's going to have to answer eventually. Are they going to move him? Or are they just going to keep him? It's like, so it's hard for like me to say, like, standing here. I'm not the front office who has to make this tough decision, but he if he's not making the shot either, he's below 40% now, which, I mean, 38% is fine, but when you're shooting like 9 a game, it's not gonna, like, you're Wayne Ellington pretty much out there, and you're gonna make the decision a lot easier for the team.
That's actually a great comparison. Like obviously he broke Wayne Ellington's record or whatever, but in terms of their value to the team, it is very, very similar. It's just he's like a supercharged Wayne Ellington in that aspect, where he can maybe get hotter, he can be more consistent from three, but it's still like the value added on other facets of his game are just not there right now. So, Ariel, I don't believe you got to chime in on this. Your thoughts on Duncan and either what the Heat front office should do with him, or exactly how we can make it work with him.
I don't really know unless he adds like an off the dribble game, which we've seen him expand a little bit more in this season. He didn't have that almost at all last season, but until that comes in, which again, I don't know if it's going to happen. It's kind of tough, right? Because it's hard to get him open because teams know that he's such a lethal shooter and such a big part of everything that Miami does on offense that he's right now at the top of the game plan for them. And hey, what's up, Michael? And I don't know. He's having a hard time getting open, and he's like at the top of everybody's scouting report. And so it's on him to adjust. Otherwise, if it doesn't happen, like you can find shooters who will give you, 7 or 8 attempts a game at 39%. That's really, really good, but it's not impossible to find. And so you're definitely right that Marco is definitely right that the front office has a decision to make with Duncan, and it's coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, really, really soon. So, Michael, welcome to the post game. I see your name is final round. So
because I'm a stud, I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone. I smoke my stogie anywhere I want.
You see, that described me perfectly right there.
Yeah,
I saw. Listen, Simba. Why don't you go tweet about them winning in the fourth quarter when they haven't won yet? Okay, but let's chill.
We did that last show, but we can do it again.
About him in the fourth quarter. It was like second quarter already.
Nah, it was the end of the third. It was the end of the third.
All right, goddamn.
Alejandro put the comment in, and he was like, "Where are all the negative people? I'm here. That's it. They're going to the finals. Everything's fixed." Is that what everybody wanted to hear? No, look, the Heat played a really good game.
No.
No, hold on. I'm not.
No. I am part of the negativity group here. I'm not positive. I'm just giving these boys 20 minutes of once again of, oh my God, the Heat won a game, the 1 by 2.
Okay,
This is so
hold on,
cool.
hold on.
2-game winning streak. It's a bunch of bull.
No. Hold
And
on.
he's just mad because he bought the season tickets. They tricked him again.
Oh yeah, he's been mad about
Manny
that the whole
jumped in.
season.
Manny jumped in last time
They
and
just
said,
charged
"Wait
me
until-"
again.
Look at that. I told you. He's pissed because they sold him a pot of gold, man.
Hey, look, let's be frank about this team. The Lakers weren't at full strength. Admittedly, neither were the Heat. To me, the defense, obviously Kendrick Nunn offensively jumped out, but I thought the defense played fairly well. I mean, you held LeBron to 19 points. His shooting wasn't efficient, which it normally is. Kyle Kuzma, you were kind of living and dying by what he was doing. It's fine. The Heat defense, to me, is what kind of took the show, holding them to 94 points. Good. I mean, the Nets did the same thing, and they have a terrible defense, but it is what it is. I'm proud of the Heat tonight. There's a couple negatives you can pull away from this one, but good on them to get the win. I think it's turning around, and I just wanted to come in and say that because it's Alejandro call us out. But you guys are doing great. Love it. So keep it up, guys.
Yes, ma'am. You're an idiot.
I'm
Hold
your
on.
idiot, Manny.
Manny, you came on last show. You jumped in and said, "Let's see what happens on Saturday night. Let's see if they beat the Lakers." And now they did.
Let me
So
see. Whoa. Okay. Let's be quite clear, okay? No Anthony Davis and no Schroeder.
Right.
We all know, okay, we've seen basketball enough this season to realize that the Lakers run basically through those two guys with LeBron being LeBron, correct?
Correct.
And you mean to tell me that towards the end of this game, Jimmy Butler had to be the alpha male once again because nobody wanted to set a screen correctly. Nobody wanted to move. It was Jimmy Butler trying to become once again the alpha male on this basketball team. And yet you end up almost losing because once again, Bam doesn't even get a touch. And when he gets a touch, he lets it go again. I'm sorry.
Manny,
I don't think anybody
at the end of the game.
Let me ask you
Manny,
this.
we won.
Manny, who's the best player in the
Bro,
NBA?
get the hell out of here. What happened?
Who's the best player in the NBA?
Best player in the NBA?
Yes.
Oh, it's LeBron.
Okay, so we just lost to like Amir Coffee a few days ago. So this is at least improvement from that. Like that's my argument. Like
No,
we are not a final team right now. We are not where we were last year. Absolutely.
You
not.
are 12 and 18, and once
we are
again,
exactly. We
hear
are.
me out. The same issues in the fourth quarter in most of these games is still happening.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're 12 and 18.
Absolutely.
That's
I'm
the
not
frustrating
disagreeing.
But I'll argue this. I would argue this. Top to bottom, they have a better roster than we do. Right? We're on a 7-game.
Says the Caruso lover over here, bro. Look at that guy. That's your guy right there, bro. Look at that.
Yo, this guy missed his sister's wedding to play in the finals, man. What the fuck, dude?
That's why you think he would start.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This guy and this guy love each other. Look at that.
But Manny, I want to get back to what you were saying because, like, you say we're relying on Jimmy Butler at the end of every game, which absolutely we're too reliant on him. But at the end of the day, he is our max player.
Absolutely.
Like, we brought him here to be that guy. If he's not doing it, then that's on him. I'm not saying it's on him, but like, we're improving as a team, which is all I can really ask for right now.
I guess I'm still.
A week ago.
For sure. I guess to me, I'm still on that train with Royal where I feel like Bam has these opportunities of just stepping up.
Sure.
And like, it just sucks that
you would like to see him sustain it for two halves, but he only does.
Absolutely. Don't just disappear after the first half. It's like Simba said, he was in the first half, and then all of a sudden he was nowhere to be found. Unfortunately, for as far as I know, especially nowadays in the NBA, when you pay a guy that kind of contract, right? It comes with a leverage of knowing, you know what, when times are tough and times are needed, guess what? I'm going to step up. And unfortunately, I know I'm waiting for that. I know you guys are probably waiting for that. I know Royal is too. That Bam just says, you know what? I got whoever is on me, I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to drive it. And instead of him doing that, it's always it's just
look, you're absolutely right in that there's a lot of room to grow there and improvements need to be made. The mentality has to improve from an aggression standpoint with Bam. There's no debate, and I don't think anybody here would argue with Manny on that point. I think all we're saying is this was a good win. They've lost to a bunch of bad teams and in a lot of spots where they're supposed to win this season. And yes, the Lakers were shorthanded. Yes, they were missing Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder. The Heat were also missing a couple of players that are very important to what they do on offense, right? And it's not necessarily a matter of equivalence. It's not like, well, the Lakers were missing Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder, but we were missing Goran Dragic and Avery Bradley and then Tyler Hero for the second half. It doesn't have to be a one-for-one comparison. The only point here is that this was a game where I don't think a lot of us, I know I didn't have them winning. If I had to put money on it, I would have taken the Lakers. I would have taken them with the spread too because it wasn't that big, but they got the win. It was a tough game. They defended relatively well, and I don't know what more you can ask for. Like, you need to get wins at this point, right? You can't keep losing games because it's a shorter season, and the more games you lose and the further under 500 you fall, it's going to be harder to make the playoffs. And ideally, they would like to avoid the play-in tournament, right? So it's a good win on the road towards the end of a road trip. And, you know, my name on here saying we bike, like, obviously I'm joking. I don't think we're going to the finals right now. Definitely moves need to be made. But this was a good win, if, you know, objectively speaking, in my opinion.
It's a nice Band-Aid to like a hemorrhaging like patient. You're doing this, it's fine for now. Like we're not saying they're fully back, you know, there's still a lot to be worked on, but you're gonna take any win in this messed up kind of year, like all day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
this was a scheduled loss. Let's be honest. For us, it was a scheduled loss. We took one that we weren't supposed to get, so you got to be happy about that. Yeah,
I'm just supposed to be excited. I lost to Washington.
We're not saying, but nobody used the word excited. Nobody,
why are you taking it like this, bro?
No, this is wonderful. We beat the Lakers.
Nobody said be excited because we're back or anything like that. Nobody said, yo, the season looks like it's finally
bags, baby. Let's go. Heat Nation's back.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that we're going to the finals because of just this, man. Like, we're just saying, like, this is a win that we finally got. Thank God. We needed it. We stole it, you know, and like we didn't lose it, right? Because we're so used to having these leads and losing them in the last 3 minutes or whatever. We should have probably lost this lead. We didn't. Fucking take it, go to OKC, and that's it. Bury this game.
Someone's saying block Manny. He's the host. There's no getting Manny out of this. He's with us. He's our ride or die. So whatever Manny wants to say, he's saying it.
Bro, he really went to get a pot and pad.
Oh my gosh. But no, seriously, like this game, I think it looked a lot uglier than it probably should have. And that a lot of it is due to the fact that Max Strus decided to say he was the fucking main character in the fourth quarter. And he took he went 0 of 8 from 3, I want to say. Is it 0 of 8?
He was like 0 of 8 or 0 of 9. Yeah.
But in his defense, he was wide open.
1 of 9.
No.
And if you were listening, all you heard was shoot. So they're obviously telling him just to fucking shoot the ball.
Oh no, I understand.
Nobody else
Like,
wanted to shoot.
At some point, like Spo has to look at Max Strus and get the fuck off the floor. 0 of 7, thank you, Dan. Like Spo has to look at him and say, get off the floor. Like you just have to put anybody else there. I understand the options are limited off of the bench right now because it's between him and Gabe Vincent. So like I get that aspect of it, but damn, you can't miss 7 wide open threes in a primetime game as a two-way guy in the NBA. You
With
can't.
limited days.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they reverted his contract to a 10-day contract after this game because, like 0 of 7, if we lost that game, Max Strus would be in hell right now. 0 of 7 in 5 minutes. Bro, that's some 2K shit. Like, he looked like a rookie, like, when you first create your My Career guy in 2K and you put him on the court and you're just bricking everything as, like, a 60-something overall. Like, damn, it was crazy, but...
I think Max Strus is, like, a year early, right? Like, I don't think he really was supposed to be playing this year.
Oh, for sure.
He kind of looks like
Duncan.
He looks like Duncan at last year at the end of the game, like the last year where he was like, who the hell is this guy? Why is he there? He looks like crap. He's probably never going to play in the NBA. And then all of a sudden, you know, Duncan came after that and he looked great. That's what Max Strus looks like. He's not I don't think it was planned to use Strus. I think it just happened. We kept losing bodies and they're like, yo, you know, do it. Help us.
Yeah, Strus being hurt makes me appreciate Goran and Hero so much more. I just want to say that because while they might not have some of their best games sometimes, like they produce consistently enough. I know Hero had an ugly game a few days ago, but damn, 0 of 7 in 5 minutes. That shit's crazy. But
He's a two-way player for a reason.
yeah, literally. Like, I understand that. Like, he got his chance. He's played good in other games, so, like, I guess this is regression to the mean because he's been shooting, 48% from 3 or something like that. So it makes sense. But Anyways, moving forward, we're 3-3 on this road trip. I don't know where we stand in the West or in the East, where we're obviously not in the playoffs right now, but we do play OKC this upcoming game. I think we had our way with them the first time that we played them. It was it was one of our best games of the year, honestly. So looking at that game, what are you guys' thoughts? Like, are we going to finish this road trip on a high note, and then maybe things are looking up after ultimately going 4-3 on this like devilish road trip, despite missing players and whatnot?
That's a tough one. Depends on what you mean by. I think if they go 4-3, then you hear like, oh, this move to like plug some holes in, and then you're like, oh, these moves are like that's not bad, and then you come home and you like try to gel with all the guys. Then you can say, oh, this is looking up because they didn't settle for just 4-3. They know they can do better. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, I can see like some optimism for the rest of the year. Against OKC though, OKC is like a bad matchup, or Miami is a bad matchup for OKC. OKC is a really they play hard. They don't have a lot of talent. They just play really, really hard. I love SGA. I love Lou Dort. Those are my guys. Al Horford's played solid, but that's Al Horford. He's no longer clogging up the paint with Joel Embiid. They're a really try hard team, but against Miami, who's like also a try hard team, it kind of like you saw that in the first matchup. They got blown out because it's just the talent isn't there. But you just got to be careful with try hard teams like that have nothing to lose because they're playing for the lottery and they almost have the same amount of wins as Miami. So you can't go. It's a trap game. Like it's right there. So you just can't fall into that trap pretty much.
Yeah. So someone, who was it? Joseph Blanco, great comment. Should have been 6-1. Fool's gold, guys. Still need a trade. I 100% agree with that because you look at we looked at this road trip before.
It would have been the 5th seed.
You said 5-2, and looking at the teams that we've played, like we played the Clippers G League team, we played the Warriors without pretty much their entire big man rotation. Like Kent Bazemore had to go crazy to beat us, and we just folded in that game. So realistically, we should have been 6-1. The Jazz were the better team, and the Jazz beat us handily. Like, props to the Jazz. Great game, great team. But after how bad we looked to start this road trip, to finish this road trip on a 3-game win streak would be a huge deal, in my opinion, although it's not against great teams. Just being able to close out those games and win those games would be a big win for us. Ariel, do you have us getting the win against OKC?
I do, and to your point, I think we have to have some perspective here. So if you finish up this road trip with a 4-3 record, that's a win, right? Like you went into this thing on a losing streak, struggling all season with a bunch of playing bad teams and whatnot. And so after starting out 1-3, if you can close it out with 3 straight wins and wrap it up at 4-3, I think that's huge. Like I had them going 5-2 on the trip, and if I hadn't forgotten that the Clippers had Amir Coffey, they would have 5-2 would have been very realistic. And so I think you take 4-3 all day, every day, and I do think they beat OKC. My one thing, and I agree with everything that Marco said, is that the only issue is where they present challenge for the Heat is at guard with SGA, because that's a huge area of weakness for Miami defensively. And so if you can keep him in check, like you give yourself a pretty good chance.
So I guess everyone knows Ethan is here. So Ethan, welcome to the Nightcap.
I'm allowed to be here.
Welcome. Your presence is greatly appreciated.
He's like 3 times the age of everybody here.
Just don't be too positive because Manny might come in here all crazy with pots and pans.
Well,
Manny's saying don't be happy about this win.
No, we'll try to keep Manny out of it. Yeah, no, I had to grab Jonathan from the stream. I apologize because Greg and Alex are too soft to stay up for a whole damn game on the West Coast, even an 8:30 start on a Saturday night. What the hell is that? One of the things I was talking about with Jonathan, so I was curious of your view on this. This was not a perfect win. They scored 37 points in the second half. They gave up a ton of open threes late. They sort of got a little bit lucky that those were not made, whether it's Kuzma, Gasol, etc. But the fact that they had a response tonight, I feel like if the Heat were on the fence about making an upgrade trade, this may push them to making the upgrade trade. Maybe if it's not a big upgrade, but I know they've been close on Rudy Gay. They've been looking at the Thad Young. We've obviously talked about Cousins potentially as after he gets let go. But I feel like, again, I don't think this makes them feel like the roster is perfect because they know it's not. When you're playing Vincent and Strus those kind of minutes, even with an injury or two, it's not perfect. But I do feel, guys, like this may be the thing that precipitates, like, okay, we don't have to blow it up completely. There's still something here, but we definitely need an upgrade. Yeah, would you agree on that?
Definitely.
I think especially when you saw at the end of the game when they had to put Andre out there and he was passing out of open corner threes, putting Duncan in like terrible situations. You're like, okay, yeah, there's a certain piece of the puzzle that isn't there that we need to get because there's a bunch of holes that still need to be plugged because you still competed, but you know those holes need to be plugged up, and because you don't want those troubles in the playoffs either. When you can live with maybe Andre being out there, but you need other guys to be out there with Andre, and you just don't have those type of guys out there.
I mean, if you just plug in, let's just look at one guy. Let's say you had Rudy Gay, okay, with who's been a pretty efficient player this year. Again, I looked his per 36 minutes are exactly where they've been for his career, and he's played pretty good defense this year. He would be playing those minutes in the fourth quarter, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Right. I mean, you would just plug him right in. You wouldn't even worry about it. Like, he'll make the right play. He's a potential, scoring option when Jimmy can't get to the line or when Duncan's trapped. I feel like if they look at this tonight, they may just say, but the problem is, and I guess this is the other question, Kendrick Nunn is the only guy right now who can get into the mid-range and consistently make a play. He's averaging 7.5 3-point attempts since he got back in the rotation. He's making 43% of them. He's been pretty much their second most consistent scorer in the month. So do you trade? If you got to get a Rudy Gay and Kendrick Nunn's the piece that you got to give up, do you do that?
I think
Go ahead.
if you're expecting to retain Nunn, I don't know how they stand on this, but if you're expecting to retain Nunn and maybe see how he builds on in the future, then maybe you try to hesitate on that a little bit. But if you don't have any intentions of paying Nunn and you think Tyler Hero and Goran Dragic can give you that boost that Nunn is currently giving you, they can combine to give you that, then Rudy Gay absolutely makes a lot of sense at the 4. Like, he can be one of those players that plugs a lot of the holes that they have, both like kind of being that 3 and D 4 and like being a switchable defender off the bench or starting. I'm not really sure where he would be.
That's an interesting question to me because I think depends on how other teams view it. If other teams are falling in love with this Nunn like stretch here, you look at what the other teams might be offering. Like, you look at what you could offer Nunn for. Like, if it's anything even more substantial, like maybe you don't even need to give him up for Rudy Gay. You can maybe give him up for a player who's like a higher caliber. Like, I've been on the Lonzo train. Like, whose high point do you value more? Lonzo's high point or Kendrick Nunn's high point?
Oh, Lonzo.
Yeah, and so if you're Miami, you can say to New Orleans like, oh, how about Nunn? He's been playing really well for you. And if you're Miami, are you more like it's a choice between those two things, and I wonder where they land on that. For me, I think I've seen more of what Nunn is at this point, being a guy who's a little older. I know what he is, and I think I'm still willing to give him up for a certain player. I don't even the Rudy Gay thing. I think you don't have to give up Nunn for that, but maybe you do.
But Marco, why don't we judge Nunn by the same standards we judge other players by? And I think I've been guilty of this also. But we you mentioned he's a little bit of an older player. He's a year younger than Duncan. I mean, we you know what I'm saying? Like, and then when Hero goes through a bad stretch, we're like, okay, he's young. When Nunn goes through a bad stretch, like nobody, and I was among these. I'm not excusing myself, but everybody just left him for dead. And the reality is, maybe it was. I mean, I talked to people close to him. They said it's just playing time and confidence. It's not the COVID hangover. It's not any of that stuff. It's just playing time and confidence. He has shown something, I think, that the organization values, is that he's resilient. Like, I mean, pretty much was a done player, and he's like the only guy other than, Bam and Jimmy, yes, but he's really the only guy on the roster you can be able to count on, at least to do one thing well. Like, I'm not saying defense, but I'm like to score consistently with Goran out. You don't know what you're getting from Duncan. You don't know what you're getting from Olynyk, right? Hero for the most part. I mean, tonight aside, not his fault. Right? I mean, he's the one guy you can count on. I know you don't want to fall in love with your own guys like you did in 16-17 and overplay your hand there. I get all that. But I'm with you, Mark. I think maybe you have to wait till it's a better piece you can move him for.
I agree with that too. My thing on it, though, is like, the reason I think that we, as fans and people in the media and whatnot, have been a little bit harder on Kendrick Nunn is because when Hero struggles, for example, we haven't seen him struggle for like 3 months and 30 something games consecutively, right? Like it wasn't, he's only started having a strong stretch recently. It's been the last few weeks, and it's very encouraging. His value should be up, and this would be the perfect time to trade him, you would think. But Ethan, you've made this point before that historically the Heat don't sell high on guys.
No,
so to me, unless you're planning on keeping Rudy Gay into the future, which they very well might, I don't know, but it does make some level of sense depending on price point and how he looks with Bam and within the starting lineup. But that might be a move that they make, and it does make some level of sense if, like Gad said, you're not planning on keeping Nunn into the future and paying him. It might cost, I don't know what he would command on the open market, but you might be looking at like 3 years, 30 mil, 3 years, 36, something like that. Especially if he continues, this level of play throughout the rest of the season. So.
Well, he's reached that starting that point that he had to have a certain number of games as a starter, where now it's the contract's 4.5, I think, is the qualifying offer anyway. So that's gone up a little bit. I don't think that's prohibitive. I think it's honestly, there may be some differences. Spoelstra loves Nunn. Okay. Spoelstra also loves Duncan. I mean, I know those two things to be very true. I just think I was told more than a year ago, when Nunn was playing at a really high level and Duncan hadn't sort of made that jump yet, I was still told Duncan was the one that the organization wanted to keep and pay. So even at that stage. So I don't know that it's flipped back at this point. I'm just saying that you're right. They don't sell high typically. That's not what they do. They get attached to their own guys to a certain degree. I don't think Pat Riley is going to be fooled by this one game, okay, against a team without Anthony Davis. But I do think the Nunn thing may give them a little bit of pause now, and I also think that conversely, they may feel there's one piece, that they can add. By the way, Royal, if you're not going to appear here on the post-game show just throwing up 8 exclamation points, do not put Royal's comments on there. Okay, you can't do that, all right? Follow Clutch Corner. Anyway, that's it. You guys have a great rest of the show. I got to get the podcast up, but you're holding it down. What are we calling this group?
The 5 Reasons Skyforce, I guess. I'm not really sure.
It's not the group. It's not the group. It's specifically Gad, Ariel, Marco, and Brian.
So what happens? You guys basically develop to a certain level, and then Mickey Harrison goes over the top to match the offer from the Nets, essentially.
Yeah. When are the rookie contracts up? When do we get extended on here?
When we make the playoff.
You're on 2 ways. You're like Max Strus. Anyway.
Okay. Gotta prove ourselves. Have a good night.
Hey, he said you guys are like Max Strus. Later on, you're gonna hit Tyler Johnson contract.
He was talking about you. He was talking about you when he was saying Max Strus. But anyways,
no, he wasn't.
I want to shout out. We got a donation, guys. We got a donation. Okay, I want to shout out Brian Drake here. He said, Brian, thank you for the donation. By the way, he said Lonzo will never happen. He's with Clutch Sports. Will never. I think he means to say do business with those guys again. I think it was Ethan on one of the pregame shows that said they might be more interested in doing business with Clutch because at some point they're gonna have to deal with Clutch.
Yeah.
Like, Clutch has good clients. Like their clients are good basketball players.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule it out because of that. Maybe it's just because we don't have the value and maybe the
seems too petty.
Yeah, like if you can get better and you can get a young point guard that fits a lot of your holes, then absolutely I think Lonzo's a move that they should make. I personally have been all aboard the Lonzo train for a minute, but yeah, I don't think Clutch is going to be the reason that might not happen. I think it would just be other players kind of.
Yeah, other teams have
getting
more
involved.
value. They can offer more for Lonzo than we can. To be honest.
Unless New Orleans, it depends. Like who is going to fall in love more with this current Nunn stretch? Is it going to be the Miami front office or is it going to be another team?
Hopefully,
the only
Miami.
thing I will say is that Stan Van Gundy has a good relationship with Eric Spoelstra and the Heat organization. So if somebody like the Heat organization said, take Nunn, blah, 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 blah.
Believe in this stretch. This is what he is.
It might be Stan Van Gundy that says, I love, I trust this team more than I trust whatever else everybody else sees, It could happen.
And like New Orleans has said, they're all behind Kira Lewis as their future point guard. So, it could be a case of guys, being switched to teams that don't want him anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see Nunn. Like, is he the we get him and we're going to the finals answer? No, but is he we get him and we build something sustainable for the future with Bam and Hero?
No, stop, no. Don't let Ethan do this to you, bro. Don't do this.
Don't let Ethan what? I'm talking about Lonzo.
Okay, I thought you were talking about
Nunn.
Nunn. By the way, no. By the way, I just wanted to bring up this quick thing. It's so funny how Ethan all of a sudden appears when Nunn has a great game. Where the hell has he been all year long? He hasn't shown up for months. Nunn goes 10 for 14, 27 points.
He's been playing better on this road trip.
Right now,
it's a perfect time to trade him. That's my response.
That's true. No,
exactly. But then Ethan's narrative. But I don't think you should do it yet. You need to find the right piece. God damn it, you're 12 and whatever. When is it going to be for the right piece?
Manny, here's what we need, though. We need you to keep this same energy when Ethan's on, and you confront the beast yourself.
No.
Confront the beast.
Manny, you're ducking smoke right now. Oh, come on. That's crazy.
We're like Max Strus getting on Eric Spoelstra for playing time. We can't do that yet.
That's crazy. No, I would be happy trading Nunn. Like, I understand he's playing well, but if you have Goran on your team, like, Goran can do what Nunn is doing, and we've seen him do it, like, game after game after game. Maybe not getting, like, 3 steals in the middle of the lane, but
he wasn't in your rotation last year when you made the finals.
Yeah, like, he's not necessary. He's gained value, which is exactly what we needed him to do.
Yeah.
Like, now you actually have a trade chip, in my opinion. Like, from what he's done these last few games, he has a trade chip. So
It's absolutely the best time to sell on him, for sure.
I see Nunn as, like, he's valuable, right? Like, to a certain team, he can be super valuable. He's just not valuable to the Heat. Like, and I really feel like that's why all of us threw him in a trade. He's not a bad he's not a bad player or whatever. You know, he doesn't fit into what the Heat need, right? Which is what we need. We need somebody better than Nunn. Like,
Goran, what he did in the playoffs, I don't know if he's going to do it this year, but what he did in the playoffs last year was, like, unbelievable. Like, he played fantastic, and he's 34 years old. Yes.
Love him. Too old.
Damn, Manny just loves coming in and just.
No, I wouldn't trade Goran. Unless I got a really good offer. Unless I had
you should trade if somebody offers you like a first round pick, if some contender offers you a first round pick and you can separate the whole emotional thing and you somehow get Jimmy to, like, agree to it, which again you don't have to, but you probably want to, then you should have to. I'll pack his bags for him.
I think with Jimmy you kind of have to, because if not, you've seen what he can do, and he'll create a circus, media circus, pity party or whatever.
Oh my gosh, Nunn
for Plumlee. No, Plumlee for Meyers.
I thought that said plumber, and I was like, I'll take a plumber for Meyers.
Listen, we won the game against the Lakers. Nunn, I thank you for exactly what you did today. You are probably, I mean, would we say he's like, is he the biggest reason we won this game, honestly? Because it was so unprecedented what he did off the bench, or not off the bench.
He was the most consistent throughout the whole game.
He's the only guy who made his open threes.
Yeah.
We got no contributions from the white folk today. None.
Wow. In February.
Duncan hasn't been elite since he had all out on the back of his thing.
Am I wrong?
During February. It's disrespectful. It really is. So I mean, I'm feeling pretty much the same the way I felt about this team before the entire road trip, but it is good to see this team win 2 of the last games, however ugly it might have been, whatever, I don't care. They won, so I'm feeling good about that. How are you guys feeling about this team compared to how you felt about them before the road trip?
You still feel the same. They're missing They're missing. Like, this isn't everybody else got better. He didn't. I will say one thing, which is kind of weird, but if you bet on sports, Vegas has kept Miami Heat, like, if we still had the same record as last year. And I will tell you one thing about Vegas. They always win for a reason. And it's not because their analytics are worse than our analytics. Okay, I promise you, they know more than we do. So they've been keeping the Heat like if we still had the same record as last year. So to me, that means that we're not as far off as maybe we seem. I think that we're still bad. I still think that we need things. I just think that some Heat fans are saying just trade everybody, F it, trade Hero, Duncan, Nunn, everybody, get everything you can get, stack up and load up for the next 3 or 4 years. I don't think it's that bad. I think that we need, if we can be like realistic, I don't think we're going to get it this year. So stack up for the next year while we can, because I think next year we could be better if we do it now.
Okay, Simba, I agree with you to a certain extent, but my thing is what a lot of people say, and this is pretty much all of Heat Twitter, is the Heat are as good, or they're not as bad or as far off from last year as we think, right? But the problem with that is the NBA got way better than last year. KD, Kyrie, Harden is now in the East. Like, the Bucks got Drew Holiday. The Sixers have good management now. Like, these teams actually got better.
All right. Hold on. I'm going to disagree with one thing. The Sixers management, the coach, he's fucked up a lot. He's the coach who's lost the most leads than any other coach.
Is he better than Brett Brown last year, though?
Yeah.
So they got better from a coaching department. Is he the best coach in the NBA? No, hell no. But
they also have a better fitting roster.
They got better. They got a better roster. Like Seth Curry, their fit on that roster gets a lot better, or is a lot better this year.
What's your record without
Embiid? Huh?
Off the top of my
without
head.
Embiid, they're a 500 team.
Okay,
Actually, they're worse.
Cool.
They're worse than 500, right?
That's the case with most MVP team or MVP players on their team. Like, if you take the MVP off their team, how good will they really be?
I mean, the Heat are below 500 with with Bam in the lineup almost all season. So I mean,
what I meant by that is I'll be truly worried about the 76ers. Like, they're obviously better than the Heat are right now. Like, I'm not gonna fake it or whatever. I think the 76ers are still a piece away, and the piece that they're missing is getting rid of Ben Simmons for something valuable.
Well, I mean, if you plug Harden into that team right now, they would be really, really good. But my point is, like, the East got better. The Bucks are on a 5-game losing streak. I understand that. I know Ethan alluded to this a lot when Giannis was like re-signing or whatever. The goalpost is going to move again. Like, they're going to fire Budenholzer, and then that's going to kind of be the answer to all their problems. So yeah, the Bucks are not looking fantastic. I still think us in a series with them in the playoffs would be a really, really good matchup. I still think we have a chance there. But my biggest thing here is the Nets, however bad their defense is, have 3 of the best players in all of basketball right now, and it is going to be so hard to beat a team like that. I'm not saying it's impossible for the Heat, but I just
you're right.
I think it's impossible. It's currently constructed. It's impossible.
Right. They have 3 of the best 3-way scorers on one team. Like, it could literally be any mini mo, and whoever gets the ball, we cannot defend. Even with
Joe Harris. Like, Joe Harris is lights out right now. Nah, the Nets are a really, really good team. Their defense is not good, but welcome back, Marco. Like, the East got better from last year is my only argument. I don't think Miami is a fluke team. I think Miami has a lot to build on in the future, and we are not maybe as far away as people like seem, but there definitely still is a lot of work to do for this team, and I don't think the work is coming from this roster. The work is coming from other rosters, and if we're still 2 or 3 trades away, I will die on that hill. So that's all I wanted to say to your point. But Ariel, I believe we were talking about how we feel about the team before and after the road trip. There's still 1 game left, but how are you feeling about it?
Not that much different. I think that if they got a win in OKC, that coming out of the road trip at 4-3 would be a win. Like, that's definitely a positive, right? They were substantially sub 500 last year in Western Conference teams' buildings, and so if you can come out of this road trip at 4-3, that's a win. You're going into a little homestand, and you can start hopefully building some momentum. But definitely, like Ethan was sort of alluding to this, and I've been saying this for a little bit. Like, you don't want to let a stretch of, maybe not good play, but like solid play. If you come out of this at 4-3, you don't want to let that trick you into thinking that you don't need a trade and you don't need to still upgrade. So definitely moves are still needed, but like, they shouldn't, I don't think they should definitely sell high on guys like Kendrick Nunn. And I mean, I guess, you wouldn't be selling high on Duncan right now, but if you can get something that's worth it and worth keeping into the future, any type of asset that they put on the table should be put on the table for something that improves them not only now but in the future, and that they plan on keeping. Because if they put like, I can't really think of a great example, but I kind of don't love the idea of putting Kendrick Nunn on the table in like a Rudy Gay trade, right? Because I feel like he could be part of a package with some of the other guys like Duncan and whoever, maybe Precious, if depending on the return, where you can actually add an impact player, maybe like a John Collins, something like that, that you can get better right now and then go ahead and extend him, pay him whatever it is, and grow him and keep him into the future next to Bam Jr.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was about to ask Marco a question, but I guess his entire setup just exploded. I'm not really sure what exactly happened there. Oh, here we go again.
Ask me the question. What's the question?
No, I was just trying to get everybody's opinion on how we feel about this team before and after the road trip. I still feel the same. I still think, like I said, this team is 2 or 3 moves away from being in that conversation to make it back to the finals. Not huge moves, one big move away, but I think they definitely need to continue to improve. And Alonzo Frisbee, can we go back to that comment before we wrap up here? Paying Meyers Leonard is still the one thing. I understand what they were trying to do with like Mo Harkless, Avery Bradley, whatever. But paying Meyers Leonard is the one thing that I will never understand.
Yeah, that money wouldn't have gone to anybody else though, because they were operating as an over the cap team and they paid him using his birthday. Giving that money to anybody else.
You offered it to him at the crack opening of free agency.
I listen, I'm with you, and I agree that like on the open market, that's an overpay for sure. But I think, and you know, Ethan and the guys,
that's an overpay.
Absolutely.
What is Meyers Leonard worth as a basketball player? Great guy. Great guy.
Veteran minimum. That's it. He doesn't give you anything on the court. There's no debate there. The only reason that it might not be like a horrible thing is, number one, they were operating as an over-the-cap team. That money would not have gone to anybody else. So it made no difference from that perspective. They couldn't have taken that money and signed a Christian Wood or whatever. Number two, like people on here on this network have talked about, is they can use that contract, maybe not now because he's hurt, but I don't know, in a trade match for a player at a higher salary point.
Exactly.
So that's
because if you would have given him that minimum, you wouldn't be able to really trade him for anything. You would have to throw in so much more to match salaries. For example, Lonzo Ball, like you want, you can match that salary with Meyers Leonard, Kendrick Nunn, and you can throw in a second-round pick, and you still match that salary. So I understand what they were trying to do. And, yeah, like, if you look full scope, it was a horrible, trade or whatever, but the intention wasn't horrible. Like, there's a reason why they did it, and it was to match salary, and that's all they did it to do.
Mm-hmm. And they might still use that salary in a trade. Like, we don't know. And then we'll look back on it and say, like, well, maybe it wasn't such a terrible move because they made use of that contract, whether be it during the season or in the offseason, where a team can, have the option to either pick up his player option or decline it and let that contract come off the books.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll end it with this. If he doesn't get traded, then I'm on full gap. Like, we shouldn't have given him that at all.
Like, not your money, bro. Who cares? It's like, it's not like it was going to anybody else. And it's coming.
I care because I want this team more so than anything to win a championship.
I'm not caring because it's my money.
We just talked over each other for about 10 seconds there. But Ariel, I am angry because I want this team to win a championship. And when you have that dead weight on the roster, it really holds you back. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching this post game with us. It's 12:04, so I'm going to let Simba go ahead and pay the bills here. And just my last note before anything else is I believe Avery Bradley, Meyers Leonard, Mo Harkless are all eligible to be traded now. It is February 20th, so that restriction is gone, and it is open season for the entire Miami Heat roster right now. So we'll see what happens. But Simba, pay the bills.
Okay, so let's start it off with the main sponsors of this show. BiscayneBayBrewing.com. Check it out. You can find there's a page called Beer Finder where you can find where to buy the fucking beer. Okay? Like, it doesn't get easier than that. And if you can't find a beer, and if it's not close enough, you can go on Postmates, Uber, all those apps. They can bring it to you. Next, we got Price Picks. If you use the code 5, they will match you up to $100, 100%. They'll match you up to $100. It's It's such a cool app. They're revolutionizing betting on sports. You pick your favorite players, two from different teams. You can bet on points, rebounds, assists, whatever you want. Doesn't have to be the same thing. We got Best Ever, bestevr.com. It's a simulation website. You can literally put whatever simulation you want right now for football. You want to say that Dan Marino had the best running game, put it in there right now, and we're the best. You want to say Kansas City was playing with Matt Collins? You can put that in there. Why are you guys laughing?
You're killing.
You're doing great, Simba. Keep it up.
What else do we got?
You break, wheel fix.
You got wheel breaks, wheelfix.com. Yo, these people have the best rims. Honestly, look it up on Twitter. They have some fire ass rims.
Seltzer Mayberg
law firm. I can't do it with all these these little pictures, man. Like, it throws me off. Seltzer Mayberg law firm. Yeah, just call them up if you ever need help, man. And then Manscaped. Oh, this is a company I signed. Yo, Manscaped. Use the code 5RS.
Manny, stop it, man.
Manny, this is too much. Use the code 5RSN. They will give you 20% off plus free shipping. Have any of you guys ever used the ball toner? It's some good shit.
Because I'm a stud.
Use the ball toner. Yo, the Lawnmower 3.0, it has a light on it, and it's fucking amazing. It's got all those, it can light up all those niches. Stop the pictures, man.
Simba, you're getting way too scientific with this Manscaped right now, talking about.
Bro, I signed him, bro. Like, I got to give him props, even extra props.
Anything else?
Yo, we got Miami Grill. They're coming up. Go start buying Miami Grill and fuck it up, bro. They got some fire ass gyros. They got some meatball subs, steak and cheese shit. Those fries, they're better than fucking Checkers. They're better than McDonald's. They're better than Burger King. Fuck those shit up. Go ahead.
Right next to the Hard Rock Casino, by the way. Stopped there the other day. That's all I'm gonna say. So with all that said, once again, thank you guys. I think there was a thank you, Frank, for that $1 dono. I appreciate that. But we're done here. We won. We beat the Los Angeles Lakers, and we'll see what we do against OKC, and we'll see how this team improves moving forward. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you after OKC's game.
Peace. Oh, Manny.